What's up, friends? My name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Welcome to hell. Welcome to Whoop Wednesday. I've been in traffic for over 2 hours. I'm gonna kill someone. Fair warning. Welcome to Whoop Wednesday. A new challenger has appeared. VCI has two new motor options that are kind of interesting. 0702 29,000 kV and 0802.8 0803 27,000 kV. Unfortunately, this motor is only a 1mm motor shaft. I talked to VCI about it, and they said, yeah, we can do a 1.5mm shaft. Our minimum order quantity is 750 or 1,000. I forget what they said. Yeah, I mean, that's obviously out of the question. So I said, yeah, I can't do that, but just so you know, the quads that are going to use this 0803 motor are going to be heavy, and the 1mm motor shaft is not going to last more than a couple of crashes. So hopefully they take that feedback into consideration, and in the future they do a 1.5mm motor shaft. The reason why I got these is that this is the first 0803 that I've ever seen in a nice high KV. So even though I'm certain that these will only last a couple of crashes before the motor shafts just completely get annihilated, we can at least figure out if an 0803 27,000 kV motor is enough for a Walksnail setup, a Walksnail 75mm setup. For anybody that hasn't been following along over the last couple of months, I figured out Walksnail with 65. Basically, you just need to throw the highest KV 0702 that you can at it, i.e. the TinyWhoop 0702 36,000s, or eventually when they're available, the Weebleed 0702 40,000s. Either one of those motors will give you plenty of power for a Walksnail 65mm rig. The main problem that we run into on those is runtime. With a 300, so like the only battery to run really on a 65 is the folded cell 300. You can get it from a ton of different companies: Tattoo, Weebleed, TinyWhoop, Dogcom, Betaflight as the Lava, and I know I'm missing one or two others. They're all the exact same battery. That folded cell BT 2.0 battery outperforms everything else by a massive margin. So it really is the only battery to run. And at 300 mAh with the extra 6 grams of Walksnail, it just, yeah, the runtime is like, you're going to get like less than 2 minutes of runtime, which, you know, I mean, the batteries are fairly cheap. They're super quick to swap out. It's not the end of the world, but look, putting Walksnail onto a TinyWhoop increases the weight by like 30%-ish. And that completely changes the flight characteristics. It's very heavy. And so you end up with basically a CineWhoop. It's basically a 65. You can fly it hard. You can fly it freestyle. But the weight makes it very difficult. And like, look, if you're going to freestyle around the house, having a rig that flies better and has worse quality video is the way to go. Like, having that extra 30% weight is going to limit what you can do. And freestyle is not about image quality. Freestyle is about freestyling. And so it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense unless like you don't have analog, right? Like if you came into the hobby late here and you didn't invest any money in analog and all you have is Walksnail or HDZero, then I guess I get it. But yeah, there's such a massive difference in the flight performance of the analog rigs. And if you really want to get serious about, like, or not necessarily get serious, but like have a lot of fun with FPV freestyle in the house, and you're looking to do the kind of stuff that you see me do, you're gonna have to go analog. The digital setups are gonna really kind of limit you. You're also going to more than likely run into some durability problems with them, which we haven't talked a ton about, but because I haven't really crashed them enough to sort of get there. But yeah, that's kind of the deal there. 75mm rigs, on the other hand, are set up to carry 450 mAh batteries or even 550 mAh batteries. So we can get the runtime sort of under control and get like hopefully 2.5 or 3 minutes, and have something that's capable outdoors as well, right? Like, so I'm much more interested in Walksnail on the 75mm rigs. Basically, again, when you put the HDZero or the Walksnail onto these things, they become little tiny CineWhoops. And a CineWhoop with a 1 minute and 50-second runtime doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You can still get some cool stuff in the, you know, fly 50 seconds away from yourself and then 50 seconds back home. But yeah, I'm much more interested in Walksnail on 75s than 65s in terms of freestyle, for all the reasons that we just talked about. So yeah, there's that. This is a Q&A live stream, as they all are. Ask any questions that you've got in the chat and we'll talk through them. This is my full-time job. If you like what I'm doing here and would like to see me continue, I need your help. Head on over to CiottiFPV.com and click some buttons. Join the Patreon. That's the way that you can help me out the most, and you can join for as little as 7.5 cents per hour of live streaming content that I do every month. You can buy something off the Etsy store, buy something off the Teespring store. You can book a one-on-one session with me over on Fiverr if you really want to get serious about learning and getting good at FPV. And then there's a whole bunch of affiliate links. It's 2024, my friends. You should be using affiliate links on every order that you place on the internet. Most websites have an affiliate program. Most content creators here on YouTube have affiliate links. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't affect you in any way at all. And then they get a tiny percent of your total order. And then we'll use it to continue making awesome content for you to watch here for free. Cool? So start using affiliate links. You can replace your bookmarks with them, so you don't even have to worry about it. Do whatever it takes. Set, CiottiFPV.com is your homepage, whatever. It makes a huge difference, and yeah, it's kind of free money. This is what the VCIs look like. They are in the thumbnail image. This is the 0702. This is the 0803. Let me give you an actual look at them. They're orange, which is not my thing, but I know some people like orange, so if you do, you're going to love them. This is the 0702. Cool little tri-spoke bell design. And then the 803 has an interesting little like inner ring there, which is kind of cool. And there you go. So that's what they look like. The motor wires are pretty short, which is nice to save weight. I am a little bit concerned that the 803 wires are not going to be long enough for the 75mm frames. What I can say is this. These 803 motor wires are definitely not going to be long enough for, like, if you wanted to build a 2.5-inch toothpick, this would not be, these wires are not going to be long enough. Although it does look like, it does look like there's a PCB on this motor, so you could just pull the shrink wrap down here, desolder the motor leads, and put longer wires on if you were going to do a toothpick build with these. So there's that. I'm going to be putting these onto a Meteor 75 airframe. Whoop Squad tagged me and said, where do we get VCIs? From their website. If you just Google like VCI motors, I think you'll find their website. And although I did just see them somewhere, I think a couple of their motors are over on Pyrodrone. There is a website that has a few of their motors now. I'm pretty sure it's Pyrodrone. From what I remember, though, they don't have, they didn't have the 803s, and the 702s that they had, I don't think they had the 29,000s. I think they only had the 27,000s, and that, don't do that. Like, wait until you can get the 29,000s. If you don't want the extra KV, turn it down in the PID tab. You can't turn it up in the PID tab. So whenever you buy a motor that's lower than the highest KV they offer, you're taking a risk that you're not going to have enough power and you're going to waste 40, 50, 60 bucks. So don't do that. Buy the highest KV option that they offer and then use Betaflight to motor limit it down. I ran 2400 kV motors on 6S for over a year, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of batteries, with absolutely no problem at all, motor limiting down to like 65%, I want to say. Loads of back-to-back testing. I couldn't tell any difference in throttle resolution, any difference in runtime, any difference in anything. And every once in a while, I could take that 2400 kV rig and crank the motor output limit up a little bit to get like practically infinite power, right? Because of 6S on such a high kV. With motors that are too low of a kV, once you hit 100% motor limiting, that's it, you're done. In order to get more power, you have to run more pitchy props. Typically, more pitchy props are heavier. You'll get worse flight characteristics. So, yeah, getting motors that are too high of a kV is a really big deal. It's going to save you money. It's going to save you time. And it's going to really help you with, like, testing and running. You know, you can independently choose your propeller regardless of, like, the RPM that you can turn from the motor, right? Because you can just kind of turn the motors up and down. So, yeah, it's a really, really, really big deal. And I really wish that I wasn't the only one talking about it, because it's super frustrating. There are so many scenarios where motors don't exist in a high enough kV to make a certain setup kind of work right. And that's just stupid. Like, it's just really, really, really dumb. And unfortunately, it's kind of always been like that. Like, I've been really deep into micro quads for the last 8 years, and there has not been a time that any of the motor manufacturers have listened to this at all. And I've been saying this for probably about 7 of those 8 years, that all of the motors are too low of a kV. And motor limiting has been around this entire time too. Initially, it was just buried in the CLI. Now it's loud and proud in the PID tab, but unfortunately they continue to not listen to the people that actually use their gear, which is incredibly frustrating. But hey, welcome to America, I guess. I don't know. Pretty common stuff. Companies not listening to feedback from their actual users, right? So why should we be any different, right? Just because we're a small community that is very, very much in touch with the manufacturers, why should we be any different? Super frustrating. In the chat, Slow Cow was first, Curtis Hayes was next, Bob Bruce, Kevin Sumner, Tongue Out FPV, Rodney Lorimer, County FPV, Cole Powers, Kilo Zebra, FPV Toast, Not Applicable, Hockey Rounds, Walter, Hendrix Freakazoid, Cloud Hopper, Safe Zone FPV, Soap Legend, Andy X, Scotty Scott, County FPV again, Whoop Squad, Sleepy CBR, John Goblin, Brent Anderson. I think I got everybody. Not much. Pretty low turnout because most people are used to tonight's live streams being at 8 o'clock. Last week I rescheduled to 10 o'clock, and then the last couple of days I've mentioned, like, hey, Wednesday, moving forward, as you see right down here, Wednesday live streams are going to be at 10. I also fixed it on my link tree, and just tonight I fixed it on Discord as well. So I think I have it everywhere. I think I've updated the start time pretty much everywhere. So, yeah. Hopefully this time works for you. Alright, I got these motors bolted up. I'm certainly going to have to get into Betaflight to reverse the motor direction. But first, I need to take the canopy and camera out of this frame that has the 1003s. Baker, thanks for the subscription, brother. Welcome to hell. Whoops, no, we got that. County FPV says, do you have a link to TinyWhoop? I didn't see one on your site. I got a lot from them because it's real fast delivery. TinyWhoop does not have an affiliate program. Jesse doesn't want content creators to shill his stuff because they make money off of it. Jesse is that's just the way that Jesse is, man. He's in everything for like all the right reasons. He's such a cool guy. And I super, super, super respect that. I wish that other content creators didn't do that. Like, I wish that... But, I mean, you know, money talks, right? So it's I try super hard not to do it, right? Like, I have affiliate links to a couple of websites, and I'll mention that I have affiliate links to those websites. If there's multiple sites that have something, I'll mention it. But yeah, I mean, it's very tough to be 100% pure in that respect. But what's cool is buying from TinyWhoop, you're buying from one of the coolest cats in FPV. Great products, great. Yeah, it's just amazing. TinyWhoop is just the best. Nothing wrong with Weebleed and any of the other shops. But yeah, it's, wherever you choose to order, it's all good. But if you order from a spot that does have an affiliate program, do all of us that are working our butts off to do this full-time a favor and try to hit the affiliate link each time before you check out. You have to do it over and over again. Every time you check out, it wipes the affiliate link out. So that's why it's kind of worth it to just replace your bookmarks, or if you don't use bookmarks, and you just use like the URL bar, and you like if you want to go to Amazon, you just type AMA and it'll pre-populate like your most popular Amazon link. All you have to do is off on the right. So like if you wanted to use my Amazon affiliate link, just go to your URL bar and type AMA. It's going to give you a bunch of options, and off on the right there's a button you can hit to remove the suggestion. Remove all of the Amazon suggestions that come up when you type AMA. And then hit my Amazon affiliate link a couple times for my website, and then the next time you type AMA, because you removed all those other suggestions and you hit my link a few times, it's going to think you want to go to my link, and away you go. And you'll always be able to tell because my link, my Amazon affiliate link, goes to the nut grabber. So it's easy to know whether or not you're going to the affiliate link or not. Make sense? Andy XX says, what's your favorite 75mm frame for the happymodel F4 AIO flight controller, the one you really like? Got an extra one that I'd like to build up. Better outdoor whoop, thanks. I only know of one frame that works with that AIO, and that's the Mobula 7 V4 frame. Luckily, it's a really good frame. So, yeah, that's the one that I run on all of my analog happymodel AIO'd rigs. There's a chance that the regular Meteor 75 frame will work. I haven't used it yet. I haven't tested it yet, though. So once I have, I'll have more info for you on that. But at the moment, the only one that I know that works is the Mobula 7 V4, and it's a great frame. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that potentially being the only frame that works. All right, so I've got the stack and camera and canopy moved over. Let me just tighten these screws down so that they're tight enough, but not too tight. And all right, that looks to be about right. Tighten your screws up and then pull down on the stack. And make sure that when you pull down on the stack, it compresses the grommets, but you don't have a gap. See, this one in the back is not quite tight enough. When I pull down on the stack, it makes a gap between the top grommet and the canopy. You don't want that. There we go. That's better. You don't pull down on it super hard, but pull down on it a little bit, and that's going to make sure that you have roughly the same amount of tension on all four of the rubber grommets. We are looking good here. Now let's see if the motor wires are long enough, and they are, just barely, which is actually really nice for a 75mm build. There's 12 motor wires, and wire is heavy. So there's been a really nice trend in TinyWhoop motors where they're shortening up the leads, which is really nice. Although apparently RC and Power did not get that memo. Their motor leads are absolutely absurdly long. I could plug these 1003s in to a separate AIO that's mounted to the front of the quad. I think they did that on these 1003s because they're expecting you to use them on toothpicks, but they're even long for that. Like they made them long enough for like a 4-inch toothpick. It's wild. They could definitely shorten them up a little bit. They also used like incredibly thin wire. It's kind of weird. Kind of sketches me out a little bit if I'm honest, but motors seem to run just fine. Nothing special about them. A whole bunch of people had told me that the RC and Power 1002s were just like God's gift to motors. I've definitely not found that. They're pretty much exactly like all the other 1002s, which is fine. But yeah, I don't know why so many people are so obsessed with the RC and Power 1002s. What I think it is that they just a couple of the people were like, yeah, I tested all the 1002s and the RC and Powers definitely made more power. I've tested all the 1002s. The RC and Powers definitely don't make more power than any of the other ones. They're exactly the same. So what I'm assuming happened there is that they haven't tested anything else, and they were just saying that because they know that I won't listen otherwise. And they beat me. So I lose. But hey, it is nice that we got to test them all and debunk the nonsense that comes from Facebook groups, I should say. If you get any of your FPV info from Facebook groups, for the love of God, stop. It is literally more than 50% dead-ass wrong info on Facebook groups. It is arguably the worst place to get FPV info from. It's staggering how bad it is over there. So be really careful, because you could, I mean, best case scenario, you're gonna waste a bunch of money. Worst case scenario, somebody's gonna get hurt, and that's not cool. And it really pisses me off that it's so bad over there. So yeah, please be careful. Do not be that guy or girl that ruins it for everybody. Please. Some of us rely on this to for our living. And if you screw it up for us, we're going to be pissed, and we're going to hunt you down, and we're going to cut you up into little pieces and eat you. So, you know, you don't want that. Weird world we live in. Eh? All right, VCI 0803, 27,000 kV motors are on here. Let's get them spinning in the correct direction. Luckily, I have a whole bunch of these 450 mAh batteries charged. Here we go. Betaflight coming up. And I put another 5-inch rig back together today, as you can see up here. We're getting back there, man. We're getting back to full strength. I'm still waiting on the Wasp major motors to show up. That'll put another rig up on the wall there, which will be great. Brent Anderson says, "See above." CiottiFPV learned acro. Stoke, thanks for all you do. You're certainly welcome, brother. Congrats. It's tough. Keep going. Thousands of batteries are required to really get good at acro inside the house. But you'll get there. Fly 6 a day is my recommendation. Minimum 6 a day. And you'll be there within 6 months to a year, probably. Don't do the math on that. You won't like it. Sleepy CBR says, I sent you a super chat, didn't see it show up. Want to make sure the money gets to the gangly gang leader. I don't have an email. And when was it? When was it, Sleepy? Check your PayPal to make sure it went through. I have a feeling it didn't go through. All right, here we go. Motor direction. I understand the risks. Wizard, start and spin. Motor 1 is correct. Motor 2 is incorrect. Motor 3. Oh, wait, no. We're doing this guy props in, aren't we? Props in. All right, so I'm going to reverse 1. I'm going to put 2 back to normal. And then I assume 4 is going to be wrong. 1 is now correct. 2 is correct. 3 is correct. 4 is correct. We're good to go. Stop motors. Close. And there we go. This was a working rig, so we should be good to go. Although all of my propellers here are 1.5 millimeter motor mount. Oh shit! I got these. I got a set of these new HQ 1.6 inch bi-blades that are 1 millimeter motor shaft. Let's see how they fit on these motors. Oh, you know, I pre-drilled these. I drilled these out with my pin vise already. I was going to say, man, that fit perfect. Yeah, so these are pre-drilled. I remember that. They're still kind of tight, though. So the VCI motor shafts are... they're not undersized. I'm not going to say that they're oversized, but they're certainly not undersized, in case you were wondering. But they're probably about right. Let me confirm that I pre-drilled these out with the pin vise real quick. Yeah, I did. Yeah, they dropped right on there. So these motor shafts are sized about right. Yeah, that goes on there about perfect. Normal motor shafts. They're not oversized, not undersized. I'd rather them be oversized. I'd rather have to drill the shit out of these propellers and have these motor shafts be 1.1 millimeters. Anything to hopefully make them last more than a couple of crashes. All right, I have to plug a bunch of stuff in. So this rig is Walksnail. So I got to plug the HD60S Plus back in. Hopefully it still works. And then I've got to get, I've got to find the USB to HDMI cable. I don't even know where I put it. Hold on. Let's see here. Hey, here it is. So we got this guy. All right. And I need the Walksnail goggles. Here's a battery. Transmitter is over here. We're good to go with that. May 8th at 11:20. What the hell? Hold on. Let me log into PayPal and I'll take a look. Let's see here. Weird, man. Continue on web. And let's go to activity. The most recent activity on PayPal was from May 8th on... What's happening here? May 8th at like noon. That's weird, dude. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say or do. See if you can cancel it. See if you can cancel it, and then, yeah, I don't know. I don't want that money to just go to Never Never Land, though. All right, let's get the battery on these Walksnail goggles. And right, there we go with that. Let's get it plugged in, and we're gonna power them up because it takes a while. And let's send this HDMI USB-C cable onto the desk. Out the other side. And HD60S Plus, you now have HDMI in. Congratulations. Let's see if it'll work in here. HDVRX. Turn this one off. Alright, that looks good. Let's plug it into the goggles. See if it picks up the video. In the meantime, let me get my transmitter up and running here. This is exciting, man. I'm actually really looking forward to seeing what 803s are like. I think this might be the right motor size. I have really high hopes for this motor size here. All right, battery is plugged in. I don't know if this is the right Express LRS module. So let's give it a second or two here. I don't think it is. I think it's the other module. Let me swap over. We've got video. That's a good sign. Why is the battery at 3.9 already? 3.8 now. That's not going well. It is a slightly poofy battery, so could have to do with that. We're going to get some weights afterwards. Okay. We've got nothing. I got nothing. What I'm assuming is going on is these Betaflight cross AIOs, every like 5 or 10 times you plug in, they lose their bind. It's extremely frustrating, but every single one that I have does it. You know, welcome to Betaflight, I guess. So, alright, I'm going to have to rebind this thing. That's super frustrating, but yeah. So, plug in once, plug in twice, plug in 3 times. That puts it into bind mode. Push the binding button on the module. It claims that it is now bound. It is not. That hopefully means that this is the wrong module. Let's unplug it again. Plug it in once. Plug it in twice. Plug it in 3 times. It's now in bind mode. Other module is now binding. There we go. All right. Cool. All right, we're good to go. The tune is still set from the 1002s. No idea if it'll still work. The constant blacking out that you guys are getting is the cable. This is now the 3rd USB to HDMI cable that I've tried. This one is the best of the 3, but yeah, I don't know. Whoa, okay. So this battery is almost dead. No, this battery is dead. Ouch. Alright, hold on. Wow, I can't believe we used that entire... That battery was fully charged tonight. We used that entire battery between Betaflight setting the motor direction and the thing just sitting here at idle. That's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, it's a huge pain in the ass rebinding all the time. But in the world of TinyWhoops, most of the components that we have are just absolutely useless. Every once in a while, we'll get some components that work, but they usually don't work all that well. 803s on the Walksnail 75mm freestyle build. Not bad. I gotta be honest, I was hoping for a little bit more than this, but this is pretty good. This is really good, actually, especially compared to some of the other ones. I've got the other rig that's on 1003s. We'll fly that in a minute. Wow, elevation control is a little difficult with these. Oh shit! I'm being as careful as I possibly can be, within reason. Yeah, see that big elevation bounce? That's interesting. Let's see if my throttle expo is wrong. So, where's my OSD? Hold on. There's my OSD. All right. So, oh, for Christ's sake. All right. So when I'm cruising around kind of slow, off on the right there is the throttle value 31. 27, 28, 30, 32, 33 I saw. Try to get a regular cruise going. 27. 30. All right, so let me set the throttle expo to 30. Well, I mean, let's take a look at where it's at now first and foremost. So throttle. Whoa, the midpoint is up at 50. No wonder why it's a mess. All right. I'm going to go to 32. That's probably going to be about right. When the throttle midpoint is wrong, is that wrong? You gotta get it closer and then reevaluate. Like, so for example, right, I set it to 32, but now I'm hovering around at like 37, 38. That's to be expected. So now you need to reset. Once you've gotten close, you need to reset that throttle expo value. Let's do that real quick. Profile, rate, and then the midpoint of 32. Let's go up to 38. Save and exit, and now we're going to swap batteries because this one's shot. One of the things I'm worried about with these 0803s is that they're going to hammer the hell out of the batteries. And we've not had very good runtime on these first 2 batteries. That first battery was dead going on there, but I'm going to be paying attention now to runtime. It looks like that was only 1 minute and 55 on that last battery, and I was pretty easy on it. So that's a little worrying. But let's see. Oh, the throttle feels way better now. But now all of a sudden I've overshot that throttle value. We're cruising around at 24, 25, 27. All right, so let me reset it one more time. Profile, rate, and the throttle midpoint, we're going to move that down. Let's try 34. That's probably about right. Fly around a little bit. 32, 33. Yeah, we're good. Cool. All right, now we can fly. Yeah, the throttle resolution is way better. So, still feels very heavy, mainly because it is. 75mm rigs are heavy. Digital HD systems are heavy. Wait till you see the other rig on the 1002s. Wait till you see the difference. This is great. This feels awesome in comparison. You'll see in a minute. This is really, really good. So you really got to see the weight there. The reason why 75mm rigs are a big struggle inside is they're heavy. See how it pushes out? The 65mm rigs, when I come around this corner, they have so much less weight that they just track straight through this gate. These 75mm rigs are going to carry a lot more momentum because they're so much heavier. Can't really get around that. That kind of is what it is. That's why 65mm rigs are so much better inside the house. It's a funny little landing. Another minute and 55-second battery. There are 550 mAh batteries, but now you're adding even more weight. Ooh, this battery's hot too. Yeah, these motors are, they're big, they're heavy, they're powerful. They're not hot. I am going to turn down the tune a little bit just to make sure the tune is not overactive. And to make sure that doesn't have anything to do with the short run times. So let's do that real quick here. And just make sure I discharge these two batteries. Yeah, we're good. Both batteries that we've run bounced back up to 3.8. So we're pulling the batteries down to the right amount, and they're bouncing back up to the right amount. Big motors eat batteries. Profile, simplified tuning. So I'm going to do this, I have a lot of D gain in here, 1.8, and the P&I gains are up at 1.4. I'm actually going to move that up to 1.5. But I'm going to take this master multiplier down because that's the easiest way to bring everything down in the PID. So I'm pulling the master multiplier down to 0.7. That's effectively going to bring the D and the D and the P&I gain sliders, those top two, that's going to bring them down by 0.3. So this is a big decrease in PIDs. And we're going to fly this battery like that and see what the runtime is. Still no bounce back. See if there's prop wash. No real prop wash either. All right, so this is still a tune that's aggressive enough to give you really good flight performance. Ah! Nope. Oh my god. It is so hard to fly 75mm rigs inside the house. My god. If you're getting frustrated flying inside the house and you're flying 75mm rigs, stop. It's not going to get any better. They are heavy. And flying acro inside the house is hard, so you need your gear. You need your gear to do you favors. You don't need to be using gear that's not well suited for it when it's already difficult. Unless you're like, one of the best pilots in the world, then fly whatever you want. It won't really matter. But I certainly am not. So I make sure that my gear flatters me, not the other way around. Ah, that was a hard hit. We're at a minute. Oh yeah, the runtime is no better. Well, I mean, the motors fly great. That's a huge step in the right direction. We're right back to where we started with 65 millimeter motor to wow, look at the consistency of the runtime. We're right back to where we were with 65 millimeter 1.2 inch prop Walksnail rigs at almost the exact same runtime. Those were getting like a minute and 50. Now with these big heavy guys, we're getting a minute and 55. What's kind of worrying is that I'm only getting a minute and 55 inside the house, not covering much ground. Like super relaxed flying, super chill. If I take this thing outside and I put the nose down, because outside is much bigger than this little, 600 square foot room, what are we going to get? A minute of runtime? So that's a little bit worrying. This is my first time running these HQ bi-blades, so let's take them off. Let's get the HQ bi-blades off. HQ props commonly have less runtime and less power than GemFan, so of the equivalent size and pitch. So let's get some GemFan 1610 propellers on here, see if that'll help the runtime at all. I doubt that it will, but you never know. Where would they be? They're going to be all the way buried in here. Hold on a second. Huh, why the hell's the runtime so low? I don't totally understand that. I did not expect that at all. If anything, I expected better runtime because it should be a lighter motor. Let's get some weights. Speaking of lighter versus heavier, let's see what this rig weighs compared to the 1002 rig. Get in there, Lewis. 803 VCI rig, 30.16 grams dry. RC and Power 1002 rig, 31.58 grams. Wow, it's a lot lighter. It's a gram and a half lighter. But the runtime... I actually don't... I'm pretty sure that the runtime with the 1002 rig is not a minute and 55 seconds, because I would sort of have noticed that. But I can't think of what the runtime is, so we're going to have to test that in a second. Let me even up the playing field here and find a set of 1610s with a 1 millimeter motor shaft, because these are all 1.5 mil. Hang on one more second, my friends. Thank you for your patience. Where's that bag of 1.6 inch 1 millimeter propeller hole props? There it is. Gotcha, bitch! Alright. Here we go. So, we've got one. The 2. 3. Tell me I don't have a 4th. I'm going to punch your lights out. Why are they all counterclockwise? Come on. Hey. There we go. These are not fresh propellers, for the record. They'll be fine, I'm sure, but just so you know, they're not fresh. All right, let's get these HQ bi-blades off of here. And you know what I want to do? While these propellers are off, I'm going to spin these motors up and see how smooth they run. I already crashed them pretty hard a couple of times, so this was a mistake to not do this immediately. But better late than never. Sorry, chat, I have not been monitoring you. All right, hold on. Let me hook up one of these batteries that I already ran. Okay. And all right, it's bound. Turtle mode. Come on. Motors 3 and 4 on the left side are vibrating noticeably more, which is either luck of the draw or one of those hard crashes was on the left side, and I've already bent the motor shafts a little bit. It's not so bad that I think it's an issue. So yet, but it's going to be an issue. The 1 millimeter motor shafts are just way too small. There's no material in the world that's going to make them durable enough, unfortunately. Not that with how inexpensive any of this stuff is that we would ever get any kind of like a strong metal anyway. All right, let me try to get caught up on chat a little bit. Jay Hines says, question, motors number 1 and number 4 positions on my Mobula 6 will not reverse spin itself when I configure it in Betaflight. What should I try next? Yeah, that's a bug with Betaflight 4.3 point something. Easiest thing to do is just go into escconfigurator.com, esc-configurator.com, or BLHeli, or whatever you use. You should be using escconfigurator.com with BlueJay. It's way better than BLHeli. And reverse them in there. There'll be a motor direction drop down. Just change it from whatever it is to the opposite, and you'll be good to go. Alternatively, you could swap 2 of the wires on the motors, but that's way more work. No reason to do that. That's how we used to have to do it, though. All right, 2 propellers are going on. These props are all too loose on these motor shafts, so I'm just taking my fine-tipped tweezers that I don't care about ruining and running them around at a 45-degree angle on the inside of the propeller hole to score it up and raise some of the plastic up. It works amazingly well to get propellers that are a little bit too loose to the point where they're just tight enough to not go flying off your motors. When you're doing this, just make sure you don't stab yourself, because you got to kind of push into the inside of the motor to score it up enough. What you're doing is you're digging into the plastic, and then that makes the plastic on either side of that dig rise up a little bit. And then that grips the motor shaft a little bit better. You're putting if this is the motor hole, you're putting the sharp-tipped tweezer in at an angle and rotating it around. So inside of there, if this is the inside, it's going and it's raising the plastic on the outside of where it's digging in, right? Because the material's got to go somewhere. Perfect. Good to go. These little HQ pinkies can go in here with the other 1 millimeter, 1.6 inch propellers that never get used. And away you go. Sleepy CBR sent me a message in Discord. Cool. I will get it straightened out with you, my friend. Yeah, I still don't have an email from PayPal. I don't know, it's super weird. Okay. We're going to roll right into the GemFan 1610s. And I need a battery. Did I put these on right? Props in, right? Yeah, props in, props in, props in, props in. Cool. Here we go! And then after this, we're going to fly the 1002 RCN power rig. So we get a comparison of power and runtime. Ready? Here we go. GemFan props feel pretty much exactly the same. Oh my god, come on now. Oh my god! I think they actually make a little bit less power. Which might mean that they have a little bit more runtime. I'm not going to hammer it though. I wanted to just hammer it that one time. I'm going to stay kind of chill the rest of this battery. Just kind of run the circuit here. Oh my god. With Walksnail, I swear to god I'm starting to notice that, like, I hit stuff before I get there, which I think is the latency. God damn it. See, it just does not change directions. Like, the direction that it's going, it just keeps going forever. Because it's heavy. 75 is just super heavy. Oh my god, this runtime was awful. I'm gonna assume that this battery is jacked up because that runtime is ridiculously low. Let's fly the 1002 rig. This is also potentially a bad battery. I've got a red X on the side. Yeah, this battery is all poofy. This is a bad battery. I'm not gonna throw it away quite yet. It's already got the red X on it. Let's go over to the 1002 rig just to really quickly compare. So yeah, this is the exact same thing, but on RC and Power 1002, 22,000 kV motors. So we're going to have a lot less power here. It's also 1.5 grams heavier, but I think we're going to see the runtime go way the hell up. But let's see. I don't ever remember really, like, paying any attention to the runtime on this thing. So let's take a look. I'm going to do one big throw. Wow, the hover point is way higher, which makes sense because it's a much lower kV motor. Let's do a full throttle throw. Ready? Not that much less power. Interesting. I'll do another couple full throttle blasts on those other motors. We're going to retest this too. Oh my god. Are you fucking kidding me right now? Thank you. Just gotta calm down. I fly with a good amount of full throttle, so it's hard to get myself out of that habit. Didn't have quite enough momentum to get me out of there. Man, I've got the throttle expo set on this thing. Jesus. Oh god, it just doesn't... It just doesn't change direction, man. What's happening? Who's... Oh, God, it's a motor wire that... Yeah, so these extra long RC and Power motor wires have a tendency to do that. They just go flying up into the props. So we're at 1 minute and 30 so far. Let's keep going. I guess if I have to go up to a 550 mAh battery, I will. But I would really rather not. I find it completely insane that we are at the exact same amount of runtime on these 75mm rigs as the 65. The only reason that I went to this was to get more runtime. And it's gone completely out the window, and that's the end of that battery. 2 minutes and 8 seconds is not enough. So, okay, apparently these all get terrible runtime. Wow, okay. Well, the runtime's not that much worse on the 803s, so that's kind of a plus. Let's go back to the 803s. This is the last battery that I have charged. Let's go back to the 803s and we'll. I'm gonna hammer him this battery, and we'll see what happens to the runtime, and also hopefully I can tell more of a difference in power. All right, here we go. Yeah, these make more power for sure. That is... Oh, God! That is very obvious. Man, it's just so hard to fly. Holy Christ. All right. Here we go. Come on, no! Trying really hard not to crash it, but I want to fly it hard to see how it is. Jesus Christ, on a crutch. Oh my God, dude, what the hell? These are not indoor rigs, yo. Flight performance is fantastic. I was able to bring out a little bit of prop wash there. Not surprising. I turned the PID tune way down on here. The motors are smooth enough to run the PID tune up more aggressive, but I wanted to make sure that the PIDs weren't overactive, and the reason that the runtime was so low. The runtime is so low because it's heavy. Because it's carrying around a 6-gram VTX in camera. 6 extra grams in VTX. See that prop wash coming out there? Ooh, boy. Ah! Okay. And there's the end of that battery at 1 minute and 30 seconds. I could have probably run that battery a little bit longer. 1 minute and 36, okay, I guess that's pretty bad. And the battery has bounced back to 3.68, which is not high enough. So, blast and hell. As soon as we get enough power, runtime becomes an issue. What could be happening... See, the motors are just not hot. All right, let's talk about it. 803 motors. 8 wide, 3 tall. 3 tall. 3, 6, sorry. 3, 6, 9. So an 09, 03 would be exactly 1-to-3 ratio, much like a 2207 or a 2306. The two motor sizes that are the best for 5-inch rigs, right? Unarguably. The wider a motor, the more air comes down into it to cool it down. The outside of the motor is filled with magnets. Magnets don't like getting above like 120 degrees, I think it is. They lose their magnetism. So when a motor gets too hot, it makes less power and it is less efficient. When you go full throttle, you're sending whatever the amount of power, you send the power to the motor. What the motor does with that power is turns it into rotation and heat. It makes rotation and heat. When you overheat magnets, you're going to send the same amount of power. Instead of making more rotation, it's going to make more heat. And And that's where you start to get massive inefficiencies in these brushless motors. 08, 03, not quite 3-to-1, but pretty damn close. What could technically be happening, I don't think this is the case, but what could be happening is the motor is too tall and not wide enough, and it's getting too hot. The magnets are saturating with heat and becoming less efficient. On anything bigger than TinyWhoops, if that's the case, you fly the rig, and then you just pinch the motor bell. And if the motor bell is boiling hot to the point where you have to pull your fingers off of it because it hurts like shit, that motor is too hot, and you're in that situation. For some reason with TinyWhoop motors, that just doesn't happen. Like, I've had TinyWhoops that are oscillating all over the place and like flying to the moon, which creates tons of motor heat. I bring them back, I pinch the motor, and it's just not hot. I don't know. I don't get it. The only thing I can think of is that they're so small that they cool down really quick. I don't understand it. What I can say is that typically during flight, I can tell if a motor is getting too hot. Basically, you'll stab the throttle, you'll come off the throttle, you'll stab the throttle again. The second time you stab the throttle, you'll have less power than the first, because the first throttle stab overheated the motor, and then the second one, the magnets are already too hot. I was not feeling that with this. It did not feel like that was the case. What also backs that up is we flew this 1002 rig, 10 wide and 2 tall, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 5-to-1. That is a motor that is very wide, and it's going to get lots of cooling from the air coming down. And on the 1002s, we only got an extra 10 to 15 seconds of runtime. Although, this rig is 1.5 grams heavier. So there's something going on. I mean, here's the variable, though. This obviously has more power with the 803 27,000s. So when I go full throttle on this thing, it's going to eat a shitload of power. So both of those things are going against this in terms of runtime. The motors are not as wide, so they're not going to run as cool. Full stop. They just aren't. And then it's a much higher KV. It's a much more powerful motor. Power takes electricity. So I'm not super surprised that this got more runtime. If the 1002 rig had gotten like 30 seconds, 40 seconds more runtime, that'd be a whole different story. But yeah, it only got like an extra 10 or 15. And so, yeah, that's interesting. To be honest, it still doesn't have enough power. And so here's a couple things that could be going on. We could be totally up against the wall in terms of the resistance inside of these motor plugs. The amount of extra resistance that these motor plugs are giving us, it could just be too much. I don't think that's the case. Think of it this way, right? When we go from PH 2.0 to BT 2.0, there's a definite increase in performance. But that's one connector with 2 pins. And you can still run these things on PH 2.0. It's not it's significantly worse, but they still run. The motor plugs, there's 4 of them, and they're 3 pins each. Yes, they're smaller, but still, there is way more contact in these motor plugs than the battery lead. So I don't buy it. I could totally be wrong. I hope I'm not wrong, because direct soldering TinyWhoop motors is a goddamn nightmare. But I don't think there's a significant difference. I've done it before. I've taken I think twice 65 millimeter rigs and converted them from plugs to direct soldered, and both times I felt no difference. I saw no difference in runtime. I felt no difference in the air. But those were 65 millimeter rigs back in the days of like 0802, 20,000 kV motors, maybe 25,000 kV motors at the max. You know, we're in a whole different world of performance nowadays. So, yeah, interesting. Oh, I think it might have just come through. Hey! Alan Lohman, that's you, Sleepy CBR, right? Says, YouTube Super Chat is screwed, so here's my contribution to the madness. $5 link tree. PayPal. Thank you, brother. Very, very cool of you. Much, much, much appreciated. What is this? Oh. Ooh, electric bill is almost down below $100. So close. Thank you, dude. All right, let me get caught up on chat. Jeremy says, why the heck is the video upside down every time you plug in? Because these cameras mount up. I mount these cameras upside down, so that the MIPI cable wires go downwards, and for whatever reason, and then in the menu, I 180 degree the camera. So yeah, I guess they don't look at those settings when you first turn them on. They just look at the raw camera direction. Jeremy also says, I was trying to figure out my throttle expo and I noticed that it dramatically changes based on if it's the start of the battery versus the end. And then Brandon's Baked Beans very rightly recommends battery sag compensation. Yeah, that's a good idea. I never connected the dots on that one. I should start using battery sag compensation for sure. Good call. I never thought that all the way through. That's a really good idea. I'm going to start using that. Brandon's Baked Beans says, when you update something to Betaflight 4.5, I want you to set horizon mode and then lower the 2 horizon CLI settings from 75 to 50. Try that and tell me what you think. I hate horizon mode, so I'm not going to like it, but I'm willing to try. Parkour Guy says, is the happymodel 2G4 the good Mobile 6 board? It is indeed. I found that board and it looks similar, but I'm not sure if it is. Yep, that's the one. Striker says, hey, Ciotti, gotta go to bed. Fly early tomorrow morning. Have a good night. You too, my friend. Odd says 6 a.m. here in Rome. YouTube just did the thing. I don't know where that message went. Yoo-hoo, breakfast with CiottiFPV. Nice, Odd. Parkour Guy says, the tip for scraping the inside of loose TinyWhoop props saved the life of a bag of them for me. I was about to throw them out. Oh, well, thank you. You're certainly welcome. I only learned that trick like a year ago. I used to use super glue. I would put super glue on the tip of a pin, and I would rub it around inside the propeller, let it dry, and then it had like a texture in there. The problem is, you put the propeller on the first time, it's really tight. You take the propeller off, and most of the super glue comes out. The second time you put the propeller on, it's perfect. You take it off, the rest of the super glue is gone, and then you have to do it again. It's really annoying. The little score up the inside trick is perfect. CBCBR says, got an email saying the super chat was canceled. Tried three times and I'll not complete the purchase. I hate YouTube. I didn't realize you were doing super chat, man. I'm sorry. I thought you said PayPal for some reason. Yeah, YouTube needs to figure their live streaming shit out, man. There's so many people live streaming on here, and it's just, they just don't seem to care, which is insane because, like, never mind. Jeremy says, probably the square cube law, volume increases faster than surface area. That was at 12:17. What were we talking about at 12:17? Curtis Hayes says, I'm at a hotel and forgot my HDZero goggle battery. Suggestions for how to power it from a Walmart purchase. I have an XT60 and a soldering iron with me. I think HDZero goggles need 2S, which is 8.4 volts. I don't know what you're gonna get that runs on 8 point something volts. If HDZero goggles will take 3S, I don't think they will, but if they will, that's pretty close to 12 volts. And you can almost certainly find something that's 12 volts. But I doubt you're going to find something that's 8 point something volts. Most stuff is either 5 volts or 12 volts. Just look up what the voltage requirements are for HDZero goggles, and that'll give you a range. Hold on. HDZero goggles have an... Oh, I was wrong. HDZero goggles have an input voltage range of 7 volts to 25.2. Okay, so you're good. You can get something that's 12 volts and do that. If it were me, I would get a battery backup, like an iPhone battery backup, and then chop up the cable that you're gonna need a longer cable. Hopefully, they're gonna sell iPhone cables and whatnot. So yeah, I would get a phone battery backup, and then a nice long cable, long enough to go from your pocket to your goggles. That phone battery backup thing should output 12 volts. No, it's going to output 5 volts, isn't it? What does it output? I have one. USB, normal USB is 5 volts, isn't it? Yeah, no, shit, that's going to output 5 volts. Shit, man, I don't know. You got to find something that'll output 12 volts. That's the goal. I can't think of what... I can't think of what there would be. But yeah, that's what you need to find. You need to find something that's got a 12 volt output that you can... Oh, but then how the hell are you going to get a battery? How the hell are you going to get a barrel plug? You also need to find something with a barrel plug that fits into the goggles. Yeah, I have no idea, man. And there's different barrel plugs, right? There's different sized barrel plugs. So you would need to like bring the goggles into Walmart and then find things with barrel plugs and plug them into the goggles until you find something that has the right sized barrel plug. And then you've got to find something that's battery powered that outputs 12 volts. That sucks, dude. That's a super pain in the ass. It looks like chat is on it, so they'll pick up where I left off here, hopefully. Jeremy says the square cube thing was regarding smaller motors don't get as hot. They have more area to disperse the heat. Got it. Well, I mean, here's the thing, though. They do get hot. These small motors absolutely do get hot. It's just they cool down absurdly quick. So, yeah. Brandon's VPN says Horizon mode changed in 4.5. I think that's like one of the only changes I was reading about. It's like what Acro Trainer should have been. Try it, it's better. And I also hated Horizon before. Feels close to Acro with those settings I used. Jesus. What's the positive of it though, Brandon? Like if it has any sort of centering, I'm gonna hate it. What is it? What's the positive of it for you? Is my main question. Cloudhopper says I got lucky and scored the 802 27,000 kV igow motors, but they're already sold out. Damn it. What other 1.5 millimeter Jungle Gym motors are out there? There are none. Those are the only ones that are worth it. It sucks, I know, but that's where we're at. Curtis Hayes says they go 2 to 5S. Thank you, dude. Kevin Sumner says HDZero goggles take 2S to 5S and 6S with precautions. A 12 volt wall wart from Walmart will do it. Yeah, he needs battery power though. I doubt that he's gonna fly right next to an outlet. Cole Power says 2S is close to 9 volt. Cole Power says, will HDZero goggles run from USB PD? And then Kevin Sumner says yes with the right cable. So there you go. Chat is on the scene. And then Curtis Hayes says, I have the barrel plug. Oh, nice. Okay, great. So yeah, you just need to find something with battery power that'll output 12 volt. Shouldn't be that hard. Maybe. Okay. Back to this. VCI 803 27,000 kV. Finally enough power, which is great. I really love, well, and so actually I guess we should be specific here. 0802.8. Maybe if they were actually 0803s, they would have that little bit of extra power that I would love to have. But then the runtime would be even worse. So interesting. I guess I need to try a 550. No, I'm not going to make it any heavier. It's already heavy. What is it with the battery? What's the all up weight on this thing? I'm not going to try it on a 550 battery. All up, yeah. See, it's 42.5 grams all up. That's too much for a TinyWhoop. That's not what we're going for. Because if I go up to the 550 mAh battery, then it's going to be as heavy as a 2S setup. And a 2S setup is going to rail, and it's going to massively outperform this. The whole idea of trying to stay 1S with this is trying to stay lightweight, to have something that works inside but also works outside. And at a minute and 50 seconds, a minute and 55 of runtime, you might as well do a 65. You might as well do HDZero or Walksnail in the 65mm build like we did. And you'll get that same runtime, but with smaller batteries and a lighter weight rig. I will say this, though. I will absolutely say this. So this is that. This is a 65mm here. So to give you an idea of what I'm talking about here, in terms of weight. So all up weight on this thing that we just flew, 42.5 grams. All up weight on the 65mm rig that gets the same runtime, 32.9 grams. I forgot. The other problem with this rig is if you go full throttle with these crazy KV motors, if you go full throttle for more than like 1 full second, which is pretty rare, but it could potentially happen outside, the Walksnail VRX, VTX rather, browns out and you lose video. So a 65mm Walksnail build with big powerful motors so that it has good flight performance is legitimately only for inside the house, because as soon as you go outside with it, you're going to be plowing on throttle and you're going to brown this receiver out. It happened the first time I flew this thing outside. And like, you can remember that and whatnot, but like, that's silly. So yeah, if you want a Walksnail rig, I mean, I guess what it comes down to is that you get 2 minutes runtime. If you want a 65mm motor-to-motor or 75mm motor-to-motor TinyWhoop with Walksnail or HDZero, I'm sure you would get a tiny little bit more runtime with HDZero, but not much. You're going to get 2 minute runtimes. That's just it. You could get a little bit more by going to a 550 mAh battery. I'm not going to, because the whole purpose of these is to have them be as light as possible. And there's a big weight difference between the 450s and the 550s. So yeah, that's it. That really is it. And out of these two rigs, I think I'm gonna keep the 0803 rig put together because at least it has enough power and it's not that much less runtime. But I am going to fly another full set of batteries on both of these, and then I'll make that decision up. But yeah, one of these is going to get transferred over into the 2S rig, and the other one is going to stay together, and I need to figure out which one that's going to be. So yeah, we'll see. I need to fly more batteries than I did tonight to really lock that in. Damn. I'm just trying to think of, like, what else am I missing? I didn't realize the runtime was so bad on these 1002 rigs. Did you guys realize that? I've been so tied up in trying to get the flight performance under control and trying to find a setup that actually flies half decent that I just haven't been paying attention to runtime. Which is annoying because if I'd realized that this is only running for 2 minutes, I might have given up sooner. Although no, I'm glad I didn't give up because again, you can go full throttle with this outside, and most people will be pretty happy with. I mean, look, there's loads of people who are completely happy with the Rotor Riot Vision 20, which is basically this but a little bit heavier. And that thing gets worse runtime than this. So yeah, I mean this setup is not bad. I just have incredibly high standards, and I want more than what this can deliver. So yeah. What's really crazy is a week and a half from now is Rampage. Last year at Rampage is when they launched the Vision 20. So in 1 full year, we have not gained any improvements, basically. A year ago, after I flew the Vision 20, I was like, cool, I bet you I can get it to work with this canopy. And it took me a while to do it, but I could very well have just done that as soon as I got home from Rampage, and then this exact build would have been running for the last year with pretty much zero improvements. These 803s just came out. Like I think I'm the first person that has these, and I wouldn't necessarily call them like an improvement. They're like a lateral move. Like, yes, we got better power, but we lost a chunk of runtime. So it's not really an improvement. It's just a different option, which is great. Don't get me wrong. But I refuse to believe that we've hit the edge of the performance envelope here with these. There's just no way. There has to be. Oh, we might have. We might have, because the smaller a propeller is, the less efficient it is. Because the tips of the blades get closer and closer and closer together as the propeller shrinks down more and more and more. And so very small propellers are always going to be extremely inefficient. And that's been the problem with TinyWhoops forever. Recently, we on a bunch of these analog rigs, we've been able to get around that by making them insanely lightweight. But when we put a digital VTX on, that goes out the window, and they get fat again. And then, yeah, all of the problems with small propellers come right back. Damn. I was really excited about. I'm still excited about these motors. I am. But man, if I'd had one battery that went over 2 minutes, I would feel a lot better. But I was not flying this thing hard. And they were all right there at 155. You know, what I also need to do is motor limit these down to make sure that 27,000 kV is not too high. These guys are 22,000 kV, and they don't feel like they have that much less power. So that could be a part of the problem. 27,000 kV might be too high, and we might not be getting any extra power from it, and that could be where the inefficiency is coming from. When you try to turn a propeller, when you have a motor that's too small, when you have a motor that's either too small or has too high of a kV for the drag of the propeller that's on it, you'll have a situation where, like, you'll throttle up and you'll get to like 70% throttle or 80% throttle, and then beyond there it won't make any extra power, but it'll keep eating electricity. And so, yeah, I need to motor limit these 27,000s down to 25,000, fly it. I'll then motor limit them down to like 23,000 and fly it. And if there's not like a drastic difference in power between 23, 25, and 27, then we could potentially find that missing runtime. Because, yeah, this rig is 1.5 grams lighter, which is significant in these things, right? Total weight of 40-something grams, 1.5 grams, 1/10, 10%, 2.5%. It's roughly like a 3.5% change. Should be 3.5% more runtime. So yeah, I wasn't really going full throttle that much in here, but the PID loop will use full throttle. So interesting. Technique, what's up, dude? Skesic says, when is someone going to integrate the Avatar or HDZero system onto the flight controller? Probably never. The HDZero and Walksnail VTXs take up the entire 25.5 by 25.5 board on the top and on the bottom. There is no chance that that will ever fit on an AIO that also has a receiver, FETs, OSD chip, BECs, maybe a shunt resistor for the voltage readout. It's just never going to happen. It's not never going to happen, but I don't know if it'll happen. I can't imagine it happening within the next 5 years. I really can't. These VTXs are just jammed with chips. I mean, there is just no space whatsoever on them. And the AIOs, they're jammed with chips too. So it's not going to happen anytime soon. I'll bet we're all no longer. I'll bet that this shit's all illegal by the time it happens. Unfortunately. Well, we've got one more motor option, and they make great power. VCI, thank you very, very, very much for making an 0802.8 in 27,000 kV. That's a really big deal. That really does help this whole community figure out what the right motor size is for this. And I'll tell you what, these motors will hammer on an analog rig. Unfortunately, they've only got the 1mm motor shaft, so I don't recommend them. To be totally honest, I don't know if I can really recommend these motors for anything because of the 1mm motor shaft. These motors are heavy enough that they're going to generate a lot of speed and energy, and the motor shaft is just going to bend like that. So yeah, I unfortunately can't recommend these motors for any kind of a rig, even a lightweight rig, because they're just going to make so much power that, yeah, I mean, look, like the 1mm motor shaft is not strong enough for a 65mm rig. And we do it anyway because it's the option that we have, but it's starting to look like we might have 1.5 mil motor shafts on some 0702s in a higher KV, in higher KVs. So yeah, these unfortunately the motor shaft really kind of makes these motors not have a home if you ever crash, and with TinyWhoops, crashing is kind of a part of the fun. These motors are on bearings, which is kind of cool. Apparently these little bearings don't really hold up well in crashes. So, you know, there's that. It's got a weak motor shaft and the bearings are going to explode anyway. So definitely don't crash these motors. Yeah, I don't know. If you're not crashing, you're not flying, in my opinion. So yeah, but I am very appreciative that they made these motors so that we can check out this motor size. It really, really, really helps for us to do that, to figure out, yeah, which motors are the right size in the world of TinyWhoop. So that's very cool of them. Hopefully in the future, they will listen to the feedback and make a 1.5 millimeter motor shaft version of these, because at that point, these are potentially the best motors for a Walksnail 75 millimeter rig. And on an analog rig, they would absolutely blast. But yeah, at the moment with the 1 mil motor shaft, they're not really good for anything. You're just going to bend the hell out of these motor shafts, and it's going to be game over. So yeah, that's kind of a shame, but I am going to fly this a bunch. I'm going to leave this as is, I think, for Rampage, because I'm almost certainly not going to have the 2S rig ready by then. So I'm going to leave this alone. I think I'll leave this alone as well. Bring these both to Rampage, break them both almost certainly. We'll see how durable the Walksnail light systems are. We'll see how not long these motor shafts last. And yeah, we'll have some feedback. So these guys are ready to go to Rampage, I think. I don't think I'm going to do much else with them. So let's put them up here on the shelf so that I'm not tempted to fly them anymore. Because yeah, as soon as I crash the one with the VCI motors hard, it's gonna just implode. I'm kind of tempted. So I also bought a set of the VCI 0702 29,000 kV motors. I'm very tempted to put them on something, but 29,000 kV is kind of low. Do I have any more frames? I do. Let's take a look at the TinyWhoop fleet real quick. Let's do a little scheming here. This is the last Whoop Wednesday before I leave for well, my gig before Rampage and then eventually Rampage. But Damon says, any ideas for a rig that reboots / turns off after a regular TinyWhoop impact? This only happened after upgrading 4.3 to 4.5 without carrying over any diff or previous config. I even went ahead and resoldered every wire from the flight controller Betaflight F4 1S AIO. A lot of times when that happens, it's a battery wire. The battery wire is about to break or come unsoldered from the AIO. So if you've done anything with the battery wire, that's almost certainly the problem. If that's not the problem, I would go back to 4.3.2 and see if the problem goes away. It shouldn't, but you never know. I mean, if that's the thing where this started. So for me, troubleshooting step number 1 is to undo the thing that I did that started the problem. Other than that, the AIO is just blown up. That is a yeah. These AIOs don't last very long when you start crashing them really, really, really hard, and that type of a failure there is one of the ones that we see a lot. So yeah, undo what you did, resolder your battery connector, maybe even solder on a fresh battery connector to make sure it's not the plug, and then buy another AIO, unfortunately. All right, so the Whoop fleet consists of 2 RC drift car chasing rigs. I'm trying to keep these totally clean so that there's no jello or other bullshit. So, like, I'll probably bring these just to show off the Batwing mount, but I will not fly these at Rampage. It doesn't make any sense. There's nothing there to chase, and yeah, there's no reason to beat these motors all up. So these will be coming with me. If you're going, you'll get to check out the Batwing mount, but yeah, I can't think of a reason to put these up in the air there. So yeah, these are kind of out of the equation, so to speak. And then we've got the 32,000 kV rig, we've got the 36,000 kV rig, and then the indestructible rig. It would be kind of cool. Well, the AIO on this sucks. The reason I built this is that I had this one AIO that the OSD chip is failing on, and the video gets light, then dark, then light, then dark. So this is kind of the basher rig. Well, I mean, 0702 29,000 kV. Well, let's do this. Let's weigh them. Let's weigh the VCI 0702s. And we'll compare them to the Happy Model 0702s. VCI 0702 is 1.5 grams. Happy Model 0702. Well, they're exactly the same. Like, exactly. I thought the scale was broken for a second there. They are exactly the same weight. That's a good thing. So 27th, unless the magnets or the air, unless the magnets are stronger or the air gap is tighter, or there's a couple other, or like the stator poles are have skinnier laminations. 29,000 kV is probably not going to be quite enough. And these 0802s are 33,000 kV, so these are going to be much more fun. I'm tempted to put these on and just batter the living shit out of them to see if these 1mm motor shafts are any stronger. But yeah, I don't know. I mainly got these just to see what another motor at 29,000 kV feels like. Every other motor, every other 0702 that there is, when compared to the Happy Model 0702s, they don't make as much power. Even when you look at, like, even when you line the KVs up perfectly, they don't make nearly as much power. So these are probably going to fall into that same kind of category, but of course we want to find out. What I'm more curious about, though, to be honest, is how durable these 1mm motor shafts are on a nice lightweight rig. This is not, well, yeah, this would be a nice lightweight rig if it weren't for the big heavy motors. So what I will do is put these in a frame and bring that with me, and at some point I will destroy one of these other TinyWhoop either frames or motors, and then I will take the canopy and AIO and camera out, and I'll put it into the frame that has these VCI motors and beat the living balls out of it. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave these 3 built as they are, because they represent, like, these are the ultimate freestyle TinyWhoop. It is the formula. It is the best frame that I've found, the camera and canopy that I like. the AIO that's as durable as any that's ever been made. And then the motors that I really like, 0702, 32,000 and 36,000. In Micro Mayhem, the 36,000s will be the star of the show because it's a big-ass area. But the 32,000s are just phenomenal, and they make plenty of power. I'm also going to bring this frame that has the Weebleed 0702 40,000s just for the laughs. So yeah, I'll bring a bunch of these frames with me, and then we can swap them over as I destroy these motors. So yeah, cool. That's a good plan. That's a sound plan. So all I need to do is screw these motors down. These do come with motor screws that look kind of long. Oh, I can't use them. I'm going to use a newbie drone frame. Never mind. Yeah, these look a little bit long. Be careful. If you buy these VCI motors, be careful with these motor screws. They might not be too long. They're probably not too long, but I don't know. For some reason, they look like they might be 1 millimeter too long. So just bear that in mind. Just be careful. Make sure they're not driving into your stator windings. These are the screws that I need. So yeah, okay. These motors are gonna get mounted to that frame, and then I'm just gonna bring it with me. I wonder if I can fit the frames in the middle here. Nah, not quite. It's a shame. That's all right though. This little case from TinyWhoop is still just rocking my world. The print quality is just absurd. This is so smooth. There's like barely any, you know? We did all the things. Man, it's late. Jesus Christ, it's 1 a.m. here. I'm going to finish up with chat, and then we're going to shut this down. Sorry for the incredibly late start tonight, my friends. I didn't like it any more than you did. I did not plan on spending 2 hours in bumper-to-bumper traffic in Atlanta. They closed 6 lanes down to 2 to repave on a fucking Wednesday night. Like, what asshole's idea was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There we go. All right, got my screws. So yeah, that really sucked, but hey, that's big city life, yo. If you don't like the traffic, move out into the middle of nowhere. You won't have any traffic or friends. In the chat, Skesic says, could the impact be driving the shroud? What's a shroud? The shroud into a prop and running the amps on the motor up enough to brown out the flight controller. Nah, that's not what's happening. Parkour guy says, the 1.5 millimeter shaft igow 082 already sold out. Luckily, I grabbed 5 sets before it did. So if you're unable to buy the igow 0802s, now you know who to blame. That's a shame that those sold out. I've said this a million times, but just as a reminder, don't blame Jesse. Jesse says to Happy Model, send me as many of these motors as you possibly can. Money, no object. Send me all of them. And they send him not enough every single time. So it has nothing to do with TinyWhoop that their motors are sold out. It is 100% Happy Model not being able to make enough of them. You can also kind of blame us. It's our fault, right? For being thirsty bitches. But if I see you blaming TinyWhoop, I'm going to fuck you up. I'm going to stab you. Because Jesse is amazing, and you will not besmirch him. Or you will succumb to the wrath. Or You'll be the victim of my wrath. I think I'm caught up on chat. Anybody else? No? All right. John Colgan, make sure that you don't put a space in between Ciotti and FPV. If you put a space in there, it doesn't turn it orange. I just happened to read your comment. Shout out from Australia. What time zone are you? I'm Eastern time. Do many places ship outside of America? Most of them do, but from what I've heard, it's usually prohibitively expensive. But yeah, I'm pretty sure they all will. Not all, most of them though. Definitely not all. Some of the shops just straight up refuse, which I don't blame them, because like they're probably refusing because they know it's absurdly expensive, and they just don't want that. They don't want that smoke, bro. On God, Riz. The fuck is wrong with kids? What is this shit that they're saying? Stop saying these dumb things. What is wrong with you? And I'm old. No, I'm sorry, but the shit that they're saying is so much dumber than the shit that we were saying when we were kids. I'm sure it's not. I'm sure our parents had the exact same conversation. I'm sure of it. On God, bro. On God. Riz. He ain't got that Riz, bro. Do you guys know Riz is short for charisma? On God. Let's go. 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 Let's shut the fuck up. Stop saying let's go. Everybody stop saying let's go. If I catch one of you people saying let's go, I'm banning you from the entire channel. Don't be that guy. Don't. Good old Rant to end the live stream. Good old angry 43-year-old man screaming at no one. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Send it. Let's go send it. Let's send it, bro. Full send. Lick the stamp and send it. I'm so cool. I said send it. I said the thing that the guy on YouTube said 8,000 times, and he's got 18 million viewers, so it must be cool. No. No. Put your big head down on the desk. Put your big head down on the desk. Oh my God. Speak English. Just regular old English. It's bastardized enough. Can we stop making it even worse? Jesus. Shoo! Oh, look how cool I am. I said, shoo! Oh, I saw someone say it on YouTube, and then I said it, so I'm cool now, right? Or no, it's not shoo. I got it wrong. It's sheesh. 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 I got news for you. Folks in the hip hop community, like 3 years ago, when I started flying gigs, were saying sheesh. And it's just now like getting around to be like the cool thing. Like, it's already stale as shit. Don't say it. By the time any of us hear this stuff, it's already not cool at all. So don't do it. Just say regular words. Use your words. Use them. There's a lot of them. There's a big book. A big, thick book. It's called a dictionary. It's fucking filled with words. Use those words. Don't use the words that some jackass on YouTube with 80 billion followers says. That guy's an asshole. Not all of them. Most of them. Slow-mo guys are cool. Corridor guys are cool. That's it, though. The rest are douchebags. It's not true. There's like 2 or 3 more that aren't awful. Micro PP with 10 PLNs. Thank you, homie. What's a PLN? I got 10 of them. That's more than you. I got more PLNs than you. Now what, motherfucker? Send that, bitch! Cole Powers says, someone's screen cap is derp face and plastered across Discord. 1B674H says, I've been using the beta 75mm with an X12 and 0802 27,000s and been loving it. Yeah, man. That's the magic. It's the magic combo. Cloudhopper says, do you know anyone that has experience rewinding 802 motors? I don't know anybody that rewinds motors, but there are a couple of people that do it. So they're out there. I don't know any of them. Why would you want to do that is my question, because at some point you'll have all the way up to 33,000 kV 802s available. Are you looking to wind more than 33,000 kV? If so, my man. Veritas Weasel says, you're still awake? Yeah, I got stuck in 2 hours of traffic. It's a drive that should have been 30 minutes, but it took 2 hours tonight. And the live stream started like over an hour late because of that. There we go. The VCI motors are on a frame. And I'm going to bring this to Micro Mayhem and batter the living balls out of it. And we'll see. We'll see how long these 1mm motor shafts last, which will probably not be very long. No, they'll actually be fine. But, yeah. Thank you for the donation, Micro PP. Polish Zloty. Awesome, dude. Thank you very, very much for supporting the insanity. The obvious insanity if the last 10 minutes of the stream didn't make that obvious enough. There it is. Jay Hines says, let's go. Let's go to bed. Love you guys. Be good. Bye-bye. Hold on. I'm not ready. As a reminder, no Whoop Wednesday next week. I will be on my way to Rock Hill, South Carolina for the BMX World Championships. I'm live flying for them on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. No Friday stream. I'll still be up there. Saturday night, as soon as I get done at the BMX World Championship, I'll be driving directly to Rampage, and then so there's not going to be a Sunday stream either, and there's probably not even going to be a Monday stream because I'm gonna I got my hotel room booked for Monday night as well. I'm gonna go back to Rampage Monday and fly a little bit more and hang since I'm basically only gonna have Sunday there. And I don't know, I might be just completely wiped out Monday night by the time I get back here. I'm going to try really hard to stream Monday night, but no promises. But yeah, next Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday streams, there's absolutely no chance that they're happening. So yeah. Veritas, Cloudhopper says, I'm considering rewinding to the higher KV because the 1.5mm motor shafts motors are hard to get. Veritas Wizard with the last 2 comments of the live stream, he says, is there an issue with Module 6 dependability? Old Module 6, no. New Module 6, potentially. It hasn't been out long enough. And then Veritas Wizard says, are you going to stream from Rampage now? The cell coverage and internet there are useless. So, yeah, there's zero chance of any live stream even being remotely watchable from there. Be good, friends. I'll be back on Friday at 7 o'clock, regular time. See you then. Here's some more flying from Patrick's. Here's some HDZero footage of me flying at Patrick's. I'm sorry, analog through HDZero, video, I should say. This is one of the 5-inch rigs. Well, no, here's me TinyWhooping inside of Patrick's place. This should be the 65mm 36,000 kV rig. Yep, I could tell because the ducts are black. Be good, friends. Bye 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 bye.